studio. I'm joined by Honorable James Gakuya, who's the chair of the Trade Committee of the National Assembly, also Embakasi North Member of Parliament, and as well Honorable CPA Julius Ruto, who is the KSS Member of Parliament and a member of the Finance and National Planning Committee. Joining us shortly will be Ruth Kinyanjui, an economist, even as we focus on the state of the economy today. But right now, we're just highlighting what is on our dailies. Back to the cover page of the People Daily at the top side. Strike turns ugly as teachers evicted from classrooms. That is on matters education. Strike turns ugly as teachers evicted from classrooms. That is also captured on the Daily Nation. Stop bullying teachers, Kotu now tells TSC. Even as the splash of the Daily Nation is the graft lord nailed 40 big fish next. The governor colluded to continue trading with Samburu County government while knowing he was compromising the law. That's according to the Chief Magistrate Thomas Nzioki. But on matters education, of course, just on the sidelines of the Daily Nation on the cover page, education, stop bullying teachers. Kotu now tells TSC. Workers' umbrella body says Teacher Service Commission should cease bullying of tutors with court orders and instead focus on a return to work formula. On the Standard newspaper this morning, strike nightmare for schools as TSC warns teachers. Candidates sitting this year's KCSE examinations have had their preparations disrupted as striking teachers defied court orders to resume work, even as the teachers' employer warned of disciplinary action against offenders and contempt of court action against the union. Honorable Gakuya, teachers are on strike. That is under the Kupet Union. That is for the secondary schools, despite the fact that come October they will be sitting the national exam. On the ongoing strike, how do they now resolve this? Because there was a court order that the TSC had actually gotten from the Employment and Labor Relations Court. Kupet is adamant that they're not going back, to work. And court now sees these as bullying from the TSC, and they should really sit down and work on the return to work formula. What's your opinion?
One, what I would state is that the union should also be taking the first charge. Whenever there is a court direction which gives an order to return to work, I think the first obligation is to honor that court order. Because if we are a country that is abide by the law, I think whatever they are asking for, the CBS and everything, is matters following what is in the law. And if there is an order by the court of law, I believe that it's the first obligation that this union should obligate to is to honor that particular order, cease the strike, get back to normal service, and then keep negotiating. Because one, the country is not migrating; it is here to stay. And if there are issues, the issues can be discussed, can be deliberated, can be agreed. And I also now want to brief that, in fact, teachers also are parents. And when we have students that actually are roaming out of classes at this particular time of need, when we are expecting the last term to the final exam for many, I think it is obvious a situation where everybody should consider, including that teacher. And this is two areas of serious concern. This is area of nurses, doctors, teachers, because it is according that in fact you must have that particular will in your heart that you are out to serve. Because one thing we are not asking the TSC that actually there is a failure to limit their dues in good time. What they are asking is increment. And I think that increment does not mean that you are empty, because what is due to you, you are just earning it. And I don't think that, in fact, staying out of school, being out to strike is the cure to your destiny. I still believe that, in fact, even negotiate, even though I would say that probably the time has lapsed, that was agreed and signed there before, to implement this CBA, I still believe that, in fact, the situation when it is like that, and all of us understand economically where we are, it is not the TSC which has a mistake. The mistake comes right from the budget making. Because if that money was not budgeted for, then even though you want to push the TSC to deliver that money for now, it may not be possible because that money has to be decided by the ministry where it can be hived from so that it can be filled for that particular purpose. And therefore, they can't stand to just blame the TSC because TSC actually also operates with budget, and those budgets come from the government. And therefore, yes, there is a problem. And where the problem comes, I think there are audible and reachable leaders who can listen and agree on 1, 2, 3. I think if the other team is not in battle, I also think that Kuppet should be also be persuaded also to buy the same idea and let us agree that we all belong to this country. None of us is a foreigner. We are all of us belong here. And if there are economic crisis, all of us, it should be our problem. It cannot become a problem of a single entity. Yeah.
And now to Honorable CPA Ruto, teachers strike coming at the third term. Many are now even stating that it's high time unions should be regulated on when they can issue these strikes, on when they can participate in these strike notices. And now that there is even a court order, could it be now they're also defying court orders because that is the precedent that has been set by this government in previous instances?
Thank you so much. I think, Joe, I've had always government being accused of defying court orders. I'm yet to evaluate critically which specific ones.
For the Finance Act of 2023, it took so long for it to be, for them to go back to the Finance Act of 2022. But yes, there was a stay order. Immediately,
the Court of Appeal made a ruling against Finance Act of 2023. Appeal was made immediately, and of course, I know as a matter of practice, as soon as appeal has been lodged, and then the implication is stay order for of the existing situation. But for this particular purpose, I would wish to call upon institutions in Kenya, both unions that are meant to agitate issues and welfare of their members, that the purpose for the existence of the judiciary is to always bring an atmosphere where justice prevails. And if the courts have said we have a matter that touches on the same before us, allow us time to look at it so that we make a ruling. But in the meantime, continue discharging services. For Kuppet to come out and try to separate itself against the TSC, it loses the meaning to this extent that the matter is the same, it's similar, and of course it touches on the same person, a teacher. I would still really wish to encourage that we should not go that direction as Kenyans. Let us still uphold the rule of law so that we have a Kenya.
So it's high time Kuppet suspends the ongoing strike.
There is no option. We must respect our courts. If we have to remain as a Kenyan with clear social fabric principles, let us uphold the rule of the law. The reason why this one, so that we harmonize the country. Number two, you asked as to why there are such strikes coming at that time, especially on the education sector. Of course, those who are agitating for it knows the right time to break is now. It feels much because this is an exam period. But again, I want to really wish and implore that even some decision to be made in future and even in Parliament, probably if there are ways that we can make some legislation not to undermine the Constitution. Remember, the Constitution is the supreme law. Under Article 43, under Article 37, under Article 10, most of the articles touches on the bills of human rights, and one of the human rights is aspect of freedom of expression, holding demonstration, picketing, all these together. The law has allowed it. But I think there are some limits that we need to have a discussion, especially at such that touches on the life of a young Kenyan, a child who is supposed to be in school. Must your right always prejudice the right of another one? And especially under an environment, you have been given an opportunity to be heard. The TSC are before the courts of Kenya. The other issue, Joe, that we must speak about it, I think up to now, I'm not aware whether there's been any exchange of hard words between the employer, that is TSC, the ministry, and the Teacher Service Commission or KUPPET for this purpose, to the extent that KUPPET feel that their rights are being undermined. The issue here is that, yes, there was CBA. This CBA has already been executed in the previous financial year. Where we are finding a challenge is that under current situation and the budgeting situation of this particular year is within unpredictable manner. The fact that there are no clear measures to demonstrate revenue-raising measures to cover. Remember, this is an incremental cost. If you look at the distribution of the budget, as it is right now, it includes, in fact, if you are following the discussion before the supplementary appropriation bill were made, one honorable member, Milemba Omboko, came out well and said, look at this. Yes, we are in an unpredictable manner, but there are some critical issues that I would want us to look at as a parliament. One of the issues is that there is an existing CPA which has been signed. It has been executed on phase 1. Phase 2 was coming this year. Yes, we have to look at how to manage these resources. And in the long run as parliament, all of us, we agreed with him and said, as we are looking for a predictable environment, we should give a priority. There is goodwill.
And the president yesterday promised that.
And the president promised. I mean, there is a goodwill environment. Why do we want to squeeze beyond the limit? Which other sector would we wish to kill? Can we kill the critical sectors of service provision, including medical, including security issues, including fast charge, where we know as a country, Kenya, we are indebted.
Debt obligation.
I mean, as we talk, I would rather call it Kenya is in a situation that our debt asset relationship is weaker, is negative. And you see the law is very clear. Debt forms fast charge. The CFS, that is Consolidated Fund Services, has appropriated an amount equivalent to 1.2 trillion on interest alone that have to be made day in, day out.
And there's also a principal.
And there's a
principal. About 700 billion. That comes to around 1.8 trillion.
Yes. So all this, especially the interest element, is what is very critical, because they are on timely basis. It comes every quarter, you know, and it requires a liquid cash flow that be engaged. Even at times, the reason why we see the debt, especially domestic debt, keep pushing up is because when this obligation comes and there's not enough collection on the taxes part, Treasury are forced through CPK to float in Treasury bills, you know, short-term borrowings on our domestic market to be able to sort out the bending issues, the imminent issues before them, as they keep. So in short, would rather use my colleague would accept the word called they used what do you call this business of borrowing? You know, you borrow to sort out a problem. You know, because you must survive.
That's micromanaging.
You're just managing the situation, but they are not solving the problem.
Let's now shift gears. We'll be waiting to see whether KUPPET will be calling off the strike. We shift gears now to matters politics on the Standard newspaper. Turning point as Raila's staff embraces Ruto. Those on the Standard newspaper this morning. President William Ruto addresses Kisumu residents during Meet the People tour yesterday. The president is on a 4-day development inspection visit of Nyanza. Honorable Gakuya, you can see the numbers there. Perhaps now the president is turning to, Nyanza region. He no longer has business with the mountain. What others would argue that he already has Odinga on board, and so perhaps the region could back his bid or his re-election come 2027. And whether the deputy president did not accompany him to Nyanza.
But the deputy is there.
Is there?
Yes, of course. He's there.
Yes, he's part of the crew. And Joe, what I want to say is very clear, that in politics there is no permanent enemies and there is no permanent friends. So in this case, politics, you can expect anything to happen in a time, because 2 years ago, Raila was our opponent, because he was our strongest opposer in matters to seeking for presidency, and he was in the Uhuru Muigai's camp. Today, he has crossed the borders, and he is now working with the government. And that is it, because politics is issues to do with the interest. And these, you cannot take it away, because Raila has to weigh many things. Why? What does he have to weigh? He knows nothing much you can expect from the court. And most of the things that you can expect, including even development, comes from where it's warm. And where it's warm is now the government in place. And that's why he has agreed his team to work with the government. By doing so, having 5 number of positions, it tells you he's part of the share. And that's fine. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Because at any single moment, a decision has to be arrived. And the head of state decided it is high time that he must bring his former friend back to his team, which is okay. And I don't think that it will work anyhow against the Mount Kenya region. Because at any big given time, Ruto as a president has an obligation to serve this country at large. And,
so the deputy president should withdraw the remarks, shareholding.
The shareholding has to be always there, because one thing I don't think why this particular issue of shareholding becomes bitter always, because even the side of Raila Odinga, if he could have won, there was also shares, because you are not alone in that particular fight.
He has shares already. He has come in.
Yeah, that's it.
We have several shares coming.
Even in our side, there has to be a talk of the shares, because you understand, most of those other parties that joined us on the way, actually they came in with the memorandum signed. And those memorandum was talking of something, percentage in matters to do with what the government shares. And there, what is the share? Share is what you agreed at the point of merging. Because you come in and you come with a particular support, and that support is based on a particular share.
You listened to the deputy president during the launch of the Raila's AUC bid at State House?
I did.
That he has no issues with Odinga. Is this circumstances pushing Gachagua to that point?
What comes is, in fact, you must also sometimes swallow this herbal pie. And I can tell you, it's obvious. Because you cannot start lamenting a road that actually you are on. This, how do you? And if actually have anything to do, if Deputy President is to back his boss, who is William Ruto, then you must go one way. There is no short of that. Because he cannot start advocating something different when the president is advocating something different.
Honorable CPA Ruto, Gachagua was at State House where he said that he had actually put traps for Odinga to never step at State House.
He said what I wanted to say.
And a day later, President William Ruto towards the Nyanza region. In fact, today he will be in Homa Bay County.
The issue here, Joe, and Kenyans, is that I like and I love the spirit of one deputy president. He is himself. He says, as a supporter of my boss, that is the president, his duty was to protect the president, and anybody who was attacking the president, to him, he wanted to protect his boss, and therefore he had set traps. But now that Raila has said, no, for this purpose, we have to work together, especially to clinch this coveted seat of AU chair, where one Raila Amolo Odinga is a front runner in the candidates that have been already selected to participate in this particular contest. And you see that one is for Kenya. And when it comes to Kenya, Deputy President has an obligation with the President to represent Kenya. Remember, the President is the symbol of national unity. This particular chair position is a Kenyan position. The moment one Raila Amolo Odinga clinches it, it's Kenya who has clinched it. And so therefore, to the Deputy President, it is the obligation of the presidency to give Kenya the right platform in the whole world and the map of Kenya. But nonetheless, to say, as we rightfully say, Kenya is one country. All corners with the shape of map of Kenya, and every corner has to be felt. For the president, it is the duty of the presidency at any given time to ensure inclusivity is in practice. It is an opening for William Samoei Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua that now they are managing to penetrate areas which had been passively looked at to be regions that are difficult, regions that are loyal to certain quarters. For them to address such a gathering in Kisumu, I think it's a welcome move. It shows also the politics of Kenya are maturing. Democracy in Kenya is maturing.
Let's hope also
democracy
the same will be done
is only to the limit of contest.
There is a region where Kalonzo Musyoka heads from
there. Of course,
there.
I'm expecting this in any case. If you look at the way this government is working, even those in government, already we are seeing the figures from Eastern coming in. So we only expect Kalonzo Musyoka, only that Kalonzo might be an opportunist. He's trying to say now, I am the de facto leader of opposition. So of course for him, he feels like the moment has come for him now to consolidate. I don't know whether he has muscles. I'm here to watch whether he has muscles to consolidate Eastern, to consolidate the opposition. I saw him, Wamalwa coming up. I've seen Mada Karua coming up. I'm seeing Kioni coming up. I don't know in the personality and the ability of those people whether they're able to marshal a force like one Raila Amolo Odinga, that we need to give dues what it belongs to Raila
So you
Amolo
doubt
Odinga.
Kalonzo's...
For quite some time, from day one, when he became a lukewarm, Kenyans have lost hope in him. You know, Kenyans are funny. They look at trust in you, Joe, and they see ability in you, whether you're able to stand for your words. If you're able to stand on what you believe, whether you believe it right or you believe it in the extreme end.
MPs now says the tag has been given to Odinga.
In terms of... no, for Odinga, he needed support of Kenya. For him to...
Now about his four former top officials of ODM joining the cabinet.
Look at Raila Amolo Odinga and look at the style of leadership, including when the agitation of democracy in Kenya, the issue of one-party system, multi-partyism, he has been consistent on reforms.
We are due for
so, and for now, Raila has seen reforms has come to Kenya. So what is he, what else is he trying to agitate against?
We are due for a short commercial break. Honorable Gakuya.
Yes.
You know, even as the government talked of concessions, living within our means, and austerity measures, today in Homa Bay County, the president will be gracing the Thanksgiving service of John Mbadi. These could gobble up millions of shillings in terms of organizing and mobilizing. Is it high time these new CSs embark on working for Kenyans? Also touch on Kalonzo's, announcement that he's now the official opposition leader, and is also moving to form shadow cabinet as he replaces Raila in Azimio.
One, let me just very quickly that, in fact, in terms of homecomings, me, I have a different view, because if you are appointed and you are not elected, then the positions that you are holding is not your position, is the citizens' position. I don't think that. Why do you want to go home to celebrate? I think what you should do is to serve the people first, because the duty you have been given is to serve the people.
Then celebrate after the results are seen.
No, in fact, if you deliver, you can later celebrate. But what do you celebrate? You only celebrate the flag. No, to me, it has no logic. But I can tell you for sure, it is a wish of an individual. If you want to celebrate, that's fine. But my bigger question is, do you want to tell me that actually all those monies to organize that kind of event is from your pocket? Is it not Wanjiko's taxpayer money? That's my big question.
Joe, I think after independence, you will appreciate the fact that for the first time in the history of more than 63 years, there are some specific cabinet seats, like one treasury and attorney general, that the region from where Mbadi has come from has seen for the first time.
So it's proper for him to have the...
I mean, even for the region, they now feel, do you mean there comes a moment? You see, politics is all about perception. Most of the time, some of these positions have been ordered in a given manner to the extent people believe resources follow the position other than service discharge. So, to me, allow them to celebrate, but I doubt whether there is taxpayers' money might to be used, because when I organize for a function in my place, I have to put my cost. So I'm sure one Honorable Mbadi had organized himself to host his guests to look for food. It's not a Kenyan expenditure. He has just invited friends, including the president, to come and, of course, to come and grace the occasion. So it has nothing to do with public expenditure to me. I'm not aware where the government is going to put the cost. You plan, if you plan a function, a ceremony, a party, it is you, the host, that you are going to invite your friends. But for purpose of austerity measures, indeed, I want to agree that even after this celebration mode, I need to encourage the new CSS to impact. We have a critical obligation to shift this nation in the right direction.
At that juncture, we take a short commercial break, but keep the conversation going via social media platforms at K24 TV, at Joel Chachazola, SMS, and WhatsApp numbers at the bottom of the screens. When we come back, being on a Thursday, we focus on the state of the economy. The JKA Adani leasing tussle that is shrouded in secrecy will feature in the upcoming hour. Stay tuned.
When it's a Saturday, there's only one entertainment show in East and Central Africa. Arena 254. Join Aisha Wanjiko and Tony Mwirigi for all the artistic interviews fused with amazing entertainment conversations and sizzling hot